Well, obviously, the struggles were in the throw game, and that's going to be worked on extremely hard. Combination, there wasn't one issue, but several. That either it's a misfire, not a well-executed pattern, or a drop ball in Marcus Ball's position, where he had the interception. So we just have to do much better. And I'll answer your questions for you.
Second row left, Ari. Urban, last Wednesday, right before your press conference, the NCAA Council announced some proposals for different legislation next year with the rules. I was just wondering if you saw those things and if you had a take on the satellite camp reform and how they...
I did a little bit. I'm so busy. Our Gene knows how we feel and how our program feels about that stuff, and I think they'll all do the best for do the right thing. So I saw it and I was on third downs instead of spending much time on it.
One of the proposals, though, was adding a 10th assistant full-time.
I heard that.
You guys have 9. I thought that was kind of interesting because you seem like you have all your bases covered. If you were to have a 10th assistant, A, what would that do for recruiting? And B, do you have any idea like what that...
No idea.
Okay.
Just be another... I guess Gene have to build another office around here, I guess. I don't know. But we don't. I think these are great conversations. It's another thing. But it's a hell of a time to be voting or something. It's... Okay. Thanks.
Front row right. Bill?
You guys looked so good for 4 weeks, and then you had the little hiccup with the passing game. Is it something that you think is actually good in the long run? Okay, it's not going to be a smooth ride. We need to get some things fixed, make sure that there's no complacency.
I think urgency, that's a good question, Bill, and I think urgency is always good. Absolutely. And especially proactive conversation as opposed to reactive. I say that to our staff all the time. And Lou Holtz and that's forever branded on my heart, is that you don't attack a team when you lose a game. You attack them and you win the game and don't play well. And so we're attacking, and there's urgency and very good players and very good people. So very well said, and that's correct.
Wisconsin's coming off an off week, had 2 big wins. What's your kind of take on them? Where are they right now?
Outstanding. The typical Wisconsin. I think it goes back to Coach Alvarez and what he's built up there. It's I think Coach Christ, I don't know him very well, but I can push play and see it's one of the best coach teams in the United States of America. It's very good players. They have their niche. Average size is 6'6" or 6'8" in the offensive line, 315 pounds. I think that's what it was 2 years ago. It's just consistent. They have an excellent running back, very efficient pass game, and then on defense, they're outstanding. They're what they've been. So it's amazing that they've had coach transition. They've changed defense coordinators, and it's very similar defense. It's Wisconsin's defense. I like that. I like the fact that we changed coordinators on offense. It's Ohio State's offense. So Wisconsin, you got to give the leadership a lot of credit. One of the best teams in America.
Front row right, Austin.
Urban, the word you used for the passing game on Saturday night was alarming. Has the panic come down at all from watching it on film? Or you still...
Yeah, it was a couple mishits that we usually hit, or when we do hit, we're dominating. If we don't hit, we have to work a little harder. And just the style, we're a pretty good run team. It's always been that way. We're kind of a shot team, and we hit shots. It's really good. If it's not, we have to find out why and get it fixed.
Do you have an idea of what that might be? Yes, this one.
Oh yeah, know exactly what it was. And it's alarming. Is probably a little overreactive, but we just got to get to fixed, practice, and get better.
Second row left, Bill Landis.
And you never want to take credit away from the team you played. It's a good team we played. So.
Rattled off a bunch of defensive linemen who graded out as champions this week, and I know it's been a point of emphasis to build that area up in particular and get rotation going. And when people think about that sort of thing, I think they think of the SEC defensive lines that you're so familiar with. How close are you guys to that sort of on this trajectory with the defensive line that you have?
Well, we're closer than we've ever been because of depth and recruiting and guys staying healthy, and you have to visualize if we had Sprinkles still. So we did lose a very good player. But I don't want to tag him SEC because I haven't been there in a while, but we're very close to, you like to have a rotation, and we're very close to that.
And one of the individuals in there, Jalen Holmes, just seems like he's playing very well this year and seems maybe a little more versatile, I think, than people maybe expected from him because he hasn't.
Yeah, he plays inside as well, and Nick Bosa plays inside, so that's more in the passing situations than nickel, which against Indiana we're in a bunch of nickel. This week we will not be, so he's going to be more stationary at the defensive end. But Jalen's playing well, and there really is no two starters. It's three starters at the defensive end position: Taquan Hubbard and Jalen, and Bosa's not far behind.
All right, over here, Don.
Urban, just want to get your take on Zeke. He had another huge day yesterday. Leads the NFL in rushing, and his 546 yards is the fifth best start in the history of the league.
Wow.
The job he's doing.
Yeah, I didn't see it. His mom texted me. You know, she keeps me posted on how he's doing. So I don't. Sunday's our busy work day, so we didn't get to see much. But very proud of him, and it doesn't surprise me because we think he's that good.
What are the benefits with a guy that, you know, wears his Buckeye, you know, very proud? What does that mean for recruiting? Just like
Well, if you follow all that Twitter stuff, it means a lot. We beat that to death, and that's we're very proud of the old boys when they come back. Mike Thomas is with us. Tyvis Powell was with us on the weekend. This is Mike's second visit back in the last 2 months, so that's the way it should be. One thing about Ohio State, it's always kind of been that way. It's the spirit of Ohio State. I remember that back in the days when I was here in 1986, 87. They always come back. First of all, Columbus is a great city. Ohio State knows how to take care of their players, and they'd enjoy their time here.
Front row middle, Dave.
It was windy on Saturday, and bad weather obviously affects all quarterbacks, some more than others. Is it a concern at all that JT seems to not throw the ball well in bad weather?
You're saying there's supposed to be bad weather?
No, I mean this past Saturday it seemed like it was windy, and even early in his career it seems like he's struggled in bad weather. I know all quarterbacks it affects them, but
That's a concern, but both quarterbacks have to play in it. JT's fine. JT's going to play well, and that certainly had nothing to do with what happened Saturday. A little breezy, but that was not a problem at all.
how can a coach work on passing in bad weather? Like, would you take the guys outside during a rainy day or something like that?
I hate it, but yeah, we do it. The older I get, no, I'd rather not, but we do it, absolutely. And it's not just the quarterbacks, it's receivers, and you got to get a couple of those in the bank.
Front row right, Tim.
Yeah, when you look at that passing game, and you touched on it a minute ago, but how much of it was like sort of still inexperienced, maybe youngish receivers, maybe not coming back for the ball, being aggressive with the ball, things like that? I mean, what did you see when you kind of like really?
The first thing I saw was a couple of missed hits on deep balls. 10 yards, one was 8 yards behind a guy, one was 10 yards behind a guy, and for whatever reason, one guy got a little bit of pressure. We had to reset our feet, and we were behind Curtis. James Clark was running open down the sideline, and we were a little bit out of the pocket instead of being in the pocket. Those are two examples. We had a couple plays called where we ran poor routes too. I don't want to name names, but there are a couple names, or a couple guys that just ran very poor routes, and that tends to. You look up at the scoreboard, you're up by 2 scores in the second half. Our job is to win the game. We're playing very good defense. We have the best punter in America. I know it's not what everybody likes. I don't like it. But get out of that thing with a win and let's move forward and get better. And that's what happened.
What does it do for like a group like the guys you just named, William Hill, Robert Landers, I don't think you named Robert, but Nick Bosa, to make a play, to be in on a play like that with the game sort of hanging in the balance? What does it do?
Fourth down?
Yeah, fourth down
it's
play.
tremendous.
I mean, you've been around it. What does it do for players? I mean, what does it do for you from a confidence standpoint?
Oh, and the defensive line's walking on, they're walking around here like they're king of the hill, and they played very well. Bright-eyed, we showed that entire play, the entire team on, when was it, yesterday? So, yeah, it's just your peers respect you. You get rewarded for it, and like all elite warriors, you wait for your next mission, and that's what those guys are doing.
When you look at Wisconsin, you talk about Wisconsin Bowl with the Watt kid on the playing on the outside and things like that. What just stands out about them most defensively? If you could push
play hard and very well coached and play. I mean, their hair is on fire, and that's it's been that way for quite a while. I have to think we like to use the word culture around here, and I'm sure Coach Christ and Coach Alvarez is very proud of the culture at Wisconsin. They should be.
Second row middle, Ryan.
I think y'all are something like 116th in penalties per game so far. Is there anything you attribute that to, and is there anything other than just continuing to gain experience that can fix that?
I didn't know that. That's obviously, I'm going to go check that right when we leave here. And I just saw a stat. We're only like in the top 5 in penalties. Check your stats, brother.
Like 8 or 9 per game.
Is that a true statement?
You've taken
Fact check.
44 penalties this year. Wisconsin has taken 18.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. I'm going to research that when I get out of here. I don't think that's been a huge problem, but that's obviously, if you threw that stat, it's a little alarming. What do I attribute that to? Depends on the penalties. We'll figure that out.
Second row, right, Rob?
Urban, you said Saturday that JT may be a little bit too much of a security blanket for you. I assume that's understandable on one hand. I assume Tim Tebow, Alex Smith, might have been others pretty good players.
Braxton Miller,
Yeah, exactly. How do you,
Cardell Jones, Kenny Guyton.
had a few. How do you get away from that, I guess? I mean,
We don't. I'll say it. It's part of playing quarterback in this offense. You're one of the best players in the country. We're going to play you and use you and do what you do well. So we're aware of it and have to be somewhat intelligent about how we do it, but go win the game.
tight situations, I mean, do you concern, not worried, concerned that your opponent kind of knows that tendency and
Sure, but that's where you have to put people around them, and Curtis Samuels of the world and Mike Weber's, and that's one thing about that position, the quarterback position. It's the equalizer in spread offenses, because they can load up to stop the run. It's hard to load up to stop him because he's the next single wing a little bit. So just can't lean on him too much.
Second row left, Lori?
Coach, when talking to your players as they were diagnosing last year, they said one of the things that they maybe wish they had done better was handle a win where there was still some disappointment, like it was still a win. Raekwon said wins didn't feel like wins. JT said they got to the point where they tried to be too perfect. This might be the first game this year where you've handled that challenge. Are they handling it better than last year?
Yeah, we talked about it, and I heard that too, and I don't know, elite people, elite performers want to play very well, enjoy the win, make your corrections and move on. So, I have to be aware of that and watch it, and I think, you just have to be aware of it. But that's if JT maybe didn't play very well, didn't play very well, and we're not hard on him. He's more hard on himself, or Noah Brown or Terry McLaurin. They're trained very hard to be very good at their job, so they're enjoying their wins, and it's just the way we do business around here. We're expected to play great and keep moving forward.
Talk about attacking issues after a win where you've maybe left some plays out there. How do you monitor whether the guys are attacking themselves more than you ever could? How many teams do you have that are like that?
Oh, the better the player, the more they're hard, the more difficult, or they're more difficult on themselves. Oh yeah, that's something to keep an eye on and try to lighten things up as much as you can. But these guys are, the positive thing about here, there's very elite performers in this room, and elite performers go enjoy your victory meal, get better, but let's come in and enjoy the win, hug your teammate, hug your brother, and let's move on and find a way to get ready for Wisconsin.
Far left, Matt?
This is the first of 2 games in a row that you're going to be playing against teams that have an extra week to prepare for you with the byes. Does it change anything that you do in terms of awareness that maybe they're going to post a curveball, or Wisconsin, as you said, their culture is, you're pretty sure of what you're going to get, you know what I mean?
You always have to be ready. Bye weeks create a little bit of an indecision. This kind of outfit is they know what they do, and they do it very well. It's also a concern. There are 2 night games back to back on the road, so just the wear and tear. I am more familiar, or spending more time on that. But anytime you go into bye week, you just be aware for a couple curveballs that you haven't seen. This late in the season, you don't see holistic changes to offense, defense, or kicking.
This is probably an obvious question, but you guys have scored in the last 30 seconds of the half in every game this year. Defense did it in Tulsa, and obviously Paris Campbell said it this one, but can you speak, how big is that to
Well, you
take-
realize that they scored, and then they scored again at the beginning of the second half, and it would have been a tie game if we didn't answer with that one and then answer again. So that was a huge play of the game. And anytime you take a sense of momentum in the locker room, that creates a little more positive energy as you come out in the second half.
And final question, front row left, Doug.
Urban, when you're playing a really good team like this, or any game you expect to be tight, can you, I don't know if you can put it in the game plan, but do you sort of figure we have some dynamic playmakers, somebody's going to pop something at some point that, for us, that's good, that maybe we don't exactly plan for, but that one of these swing passes to Curtis Samuel might just go for 50? Like, do you sort of have that confidence when you have dynamic guys that they'll do things that you almost can't plan for?
Yeah, that's why just the chance, Curtis touches the ball 10 times, there's a chance 2 or 3 of those are going to be plus 20, plus 30 yards because he'll make someone miss and he's got elite speed. That's absolutely a big part of why we do. And I think the comment was made that we didn't get the ball enough to Curtis, which is probably a true statement because he's a big play waiting to happen. And so, yeah, absolutely.
And in your career, I mean, have you had confidence on what most games that you have coached in your career that you had a few more dynamic guys than the other side did, that you had the better chance going into the game?
In my career?
Yeah, that like if you've emphasized that, hey, we're going to find guys who can turn an 8-yard play into a 50-yard play.
That's a good question. I don't, that's a long time. From Bowling Green to, I don't know. I think it's probably safe to say, though, that especially once you start getting the Curtis Samuels around you, and that the good, I wouldn't say majority, but there's been a good bunch of games where I feel like we have elite skill. You'll hear me say quite often, and that's the way we recruit as well, we have to get the ball to the second level, because very rarely will they have better skill than we have. A lot of times you can stop the run. This team is built to stop the run. Indiana was built to stop the run. We have to get in the second level via run or pass, and we work extremely hard in the meeting rooms doing that because we have such confidence once you get those guys around you. Remember, our first year, we really didn't have that. So it really was, it was number 5, I think, running right and left. As you start to develop Hyde and Philly Brown, then you start being more creative on how you do those things. Good question, and that's why we work so hard at recruiting those kind of skilled athletes and getting them to the second level. Thanks.